Burley Sew. Hello everybody and welcome to Burley Sew. I'm Purified and today we're going to make some basic curtains. Alright, so for this project I'm going to use about 4 yards of material. I'm only going to the bottom of my windowsill. If you're going all the way to the floor, you might need a little bit more. I'm making each panel about as wide as the window. So there's no real set length to give you, just go the length that you need and add 5 inches on for the top and add about 2 inches on for the bottom. And then the width, if you want more pleats, go wider, go the width of the window, or you can have less pleats in a straighter curtain if you just go about half the width of the window and leave about 1.5 inches for a hem. Alright, so it's nice and ironed, and I'm going to measure the length that I need, and I need two 70-inch panels. So I've got this material folded in half, the lengthwise, and I also have it still in the bowl type width. And I'm going to measure, so while it's folded it equals 70 inches. And then I know that my fold at the end here, closest to the bottom of the film, will be my cutting point to make two 70-inch panels once I trim this down to 140 inches total. So I've got it measured out. I've got the bulk of the material off the edge of my table here so that I can work with it in camera view. And all the edges are matched up. I just marked the line of where I'm going to cut, and I'm going to cut this down to, well, like I said, one piece of 140 inches. And I did this because I wanted the biggest piece of drop. Had I simply just folded this whole piece of material in half and then measured 70 inches and cut, I would have two small pieces of drop. So I measured up from one edge. So now I measured it out and checked my cut, and it's 70 inches square. So now I'm ready to take it and unfold it, and then I've got a good idea where the 70-inch mark is because that's where my fold mark is. So I can just mark it here, and I'll mark it on the other edge, and then I will turn this into two separate 70-inch panels, and it'll be ready to work with. So now I'll go ahead and cut it, and then you can see that we've got two panels that are perfectly 70 inches, pretty much the same width. The nice thing about curtains is you don't have to be too particular. So now I'm going to fold them up in half one more time and line everything up, and then I'm going to go ahead and take care of the width of the curtain. We just did the length, and now we're going to go ahead and measure the width. Like I said, you don't have to be too particular. There is a seam allowance. So I'm measuring this, the width of my windowsill, which is 30 inches. And I'm just going to one simple cut, and I've got my panels exactly the length that I want to work with. Alright, so we've got our two nicely cut panels here, the width and the length that we want. And I'm going to work on the hems, the borders of the curtains, and I'm going to double fold it. I'm going to fold it about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to come back about another inch, and then I'm going to do that on both sides. And I'm not even going to bother pinning it. You can pin it if you want to be super accurate. They're curtains, they hang. These are going to be towards the wall or in the middle, but you know, they're curtains, and these are for my kids' room, so they're not getting a lot of traffic, a lot of viewing. But they should turn out just fine like this if you're, you know, patient. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this first 1/4 inch ironing piece and get this nice and flat. And then I'm going to come back one more time after I get done with this, and then I'm going to fold it over about 1 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing on each side. So this is about 1.25 inches, I think, and I'm just starting it off. And the material likes to travel in a straight line. You know, if you've got a good eye, you can eyeball it pretty well. I've got a ruler to check it as I iron through, but just going through here, and I've got a nice straight piece. So now I want to fold it so that I can work with it while I'm sewing, because this is a pretty big piece of material. And basically I'm just going to lay it out on my table here, and I'm going to leave the piece that I want to sew accessible and make this into a nice unfoldable little package that I can just feed through my machine. And when you go ahead and make it smaller this way, you want to keep in mind which way you want to be sewing. I'm going to be using the same color bobbin thread, so I'm going to feed this with this side up, and the bobbin side is actually going to be on the outside of my curtain, but it doesn't matter to me. It's all green and you shouldn't be able to see it too much. So the stitch I'm going to use is just a basic straight stitch, nothing fancy. And one thing I want to point out too is that you want to do these sides, the long hems first, the long borders, because we're going to be folding over the top and using that as the casing to slide our curtain rod through. So we're just going to take this and we're going to sew the whole length of it, and then we're going to repeat and do the exact same thing on the other side, and we'll do that 2 more times for the other panel. Alright, so now we've got it all sewed up, and you can see the border here. Like I said, I use matching thread on both sides so you can barely see it. Looks great. And now what we'll go do is our top piece, which is the casing, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to do a little 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch piece first so that we don't have to worry about fraying. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold this over, and I'm going to measure down right about 3 inches. Just enough room to slide the curtain rod through. And now that we've got this all ironed out, and like I said, if you want to be super accurate, you can pin it. But the curtains, they're going to be hanging. It's not like clothes. And I'm also going to fold these edges under as well a little bit so that they don't stick out when I'm sewing them. And it'll be easier to get the curtain rod through the casing. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do a straight stitch right along the top casing, and then we're going to go ahead and flip the panel to the bottom side and do the same thing. Alright, so we finished our stitch and we've got our top casing, and you can see that it's nice and straight. And now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the bottom, except for we're going to make it a little bit smaller. We're going to still do the same 1/4 to 3/8 inch. We'll fold over first, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring this up about 1.5 inches. And as I've been saying all the way through, it's all up to you what you want your measurements to be, how big you want your borders to be. You can simply look at any other curtains you have laying around your house and get an idea from that. All this is going to be facing the window anyway. As long as we got our length and our width right and they hang decent, that's what I'm concerned about. So just finishing up the bottom here, and we'll do this in faster motion. Just one more straight stitch, and then we'll take a look at the end result. So now we're done with that, and we have our finished panels. And now we can take a look at what they look like when they're hanging up. And then also I have a picture of my wife's idea of embellishing them, which I think looks pretty cool. But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. I'm Purified, and thanks for watching Burley Sew.